Good morning, Vonda and Kate Delaney from Society of American Florists. I'm so excited.
We're happy
Thank
to
you so
be
much for
here.
having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Kate, you and I ran into each other. We run into each other at every event, but we ran into each other at Gliffy, Great Lakes Floral Expo, and we had a great conversation. You were going to be in the room behind me. I was teaching, and then you were teaching right behind me. We were in the last day of the last hour of the last session, the last anyway, and we were just talking, and we were like, "Gosh, this should be a podcast." And so I was like, "Come
Oh,
on,
here we are.
yeah." So I came home and I was like, "Vonda, we need to have Kate Delaney come on." So thank you for finally being able to figure out a time we can do this where you can come on and we can just talk to you. You are so busy with everything you did. You go to DC?
I didn't go to DC, so they didn't do the traditional congressional action days this year. They
Okay.
had more of a targeted fly in. So I wasn't required for that. So I had a little bit of a break there. But yeah,
Okay.
we went straight from our next gen event straight into Gliffy. And then some of us went right on to WIFSA after that. So it was a busy February, March for sure. And it
It
feels
is
like a lifetime ago.
it
Yes.
really does. I feel like that was 6 months ago, but it
Mhm.
really wasn't. But there is I feel like our industry, and we weren't even talking about this, but I was thinking about this the other day because I feel like our industry, we have seasons that are just packed. And February, March is one of them.
It has to be, Lori. We have to fit everything in between the holidays, right?
But
So this
Valentine's Day is or just like right after Valentine's Day,
right after
boom,
Valentine's Day, before Easter,
right.
and then
And then
summer.
summer was packed. And it's just and it's crazy. And people outside of our industry have no idea. They think it's crazy. Why are you doing this? Like with AIFD, everybody outside of my, they're like, why do you guys have stuff on over 4th of July? That's
Right.
weird. I don't understand. I'm like, it's because you aren't in the floral industry. You don't understand,
It's
exactly.
so normal for us working holidays, working weekends.
Oh,
Yeah, it's nothing new.
nothing new. They don't understand like conventions through a Sunday. They start on a Sunday. I'm like, yes, we don't work on Sundays, so we're working on a Sunday. Does that not make sense to you? It makes
Yeah.
sense to me. But anyway, I'm digressing. All right. So I wanted to get you on here to talk about leadership and kind of your journey throughout this industry and how your journey changed, but in all of the good ways, and how you had the courage to listen to your heart. And I don't know, I always think of faith over fear or courage over fear, whatever. And so I wanted to talk about that. And at the beginning, I always thought you grew up in a flower shop, but you did and you didn't.
I feel like I did. But
So tell us a little bit about your journey.
yeah, so I started, it was a part time job to get me through school. It was a classified ad in the newspaper.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, I needed to make some extra money. There was a shop local to the university that I was attending,
Yeah.
and the hours made sense for what I needed. Why not? So I started out in the sales team and went through the sales training. And it caught my attention right away. This industry is so special
Yeah.
that very quickly fell in love with it
Yeah.
and just wanted to know everything about it really from the get go. So they sucked me in.
Did you start like wanting to design, or you just liked the other aspects of
I loved the business of it. I
it?
loved
Okay.
the business
Okay.
aspect.
Yeah.
I actually have never trained in design. I can jump in, when I was at the shop,
Yeah.
I could jump
Yeah.
in when needed if it was a prom hand
Sure.
tied or something
Sure.
simple. But I was not a designer. I left that to the professionals for
Sure.
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 So
But
you
no,
worked in sales and the business side of it then.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So there were two owners, and my direct mentor was more on the business side of the financials aspect of it. And then his wife was on the design side. And
Okay.
so I had more interaction with him. So I really picked up the business end of everything.
Right.
Kate, that is so interesting because most of the time when I hear about a mentor in the floral industry, it's a mentor in the design side. So that to me is really fascinating
Yeah.
and really great that someone could be that strong mentor in the business side. Like that makes my heart really happy because you're like sucked into that. And that's so cool. Wow.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Wow.
So at what point did you go from part-time jobs? You're like, hey, this is it. I want to be here all the time.
Within a year. Yeah. Within a year, I was full time and learning so much and still having life outside the business at this point, too. They were unique, these owners, in that they were thinking of their succession plan very early on. And that's what we tell everybody, right? You have to think about this early. And so the idea of getting more and more involved in the business and where could this lead and what could this do? It started early. It really did. And it really got me very invested in the industry really early on.
Wow. I just want to do one little side note here about succession planning and the early, do a little plug for Society of American Florists here, because I know at the past conventions, you've had really great classes with some of our friends and great industry leaders about succession planning, because it's incredibly important on making sure you do leave a very good map for whoever is leading. So anyway, I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. We always like to touch on it in some way, whether it's ownership succession, leadership succession. Yeah. So we do have some really great things planned for this year as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Back to your story. Sorry. That word, I'm like, it's important. It's big. And it's a shout out to what shop you were working for. It can be hard and scary. And a lot of owners just, they are in denial and don't want to do it. It's because it's sad too, because the thought of, I got to get this up.
And I think it depends on the age of the person who is thinking of secession, right? If you just go into a business and they just started, that's the last thing on their mind.
Yeah.
But if they've been there a while, they're established, they're like, okay, who's the next person that we want and we can trust to take over our business? So like you said, SAF has worked on that. And it sounds like you were in that situation, especially having the mentor that was on the business side. They're like, oh, somebody likes business. This might be a good choice here.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
No, it was always when I thought about, could I do this? Is this something that could be my future? It was never anything that I had entertained before, being a business owner. And it was just the thought of, do you mean that I could do what I love for a living? That's the goal, right? That's what we're told from when we're young. Find something that you love to do.
Right.
And then wait, I can do that. I could do that forever and I can be successful at it. It was just, it was a no-brainer.
Wow. And so how long had you worked at the shop before that light bulb started going off?
It was maybe 2 years. Yeah, it was very quick. And it was very, and that has a lot to do with this whole journey, is that it happened very, I was very young when the conversation started, and there might have been casual conversations. They were a little bit of carrot dangling and some what if, but I was taking those conversations seriously as soon as they happened, because I really started to think about what could this turn into.
Wow. And then at some point you started feeling a inside gut nudge of maybe I shouldn't be a business owner, or maybe there's something different for me, or fear stuck in. What was it that changed?
Well, there was a lot between the casual conversations and the change. That was a 20-year span. I started getting very serious about it and really thinking about what ownership looks like. And conversations started to get a little more serious, and it became a little bit of a what if and more of a let's really see if this is something feasible.
Sure.
And so it was a very gradual kind of thing. And they were on their own personal timeline. They had an idea in their head of what they wanted to occur over the course of several years. And so I was just opened up into those conversations with them.
Yeah.
And then when they finally said, okay, we're ready, we're moving forward with our plan, do you want to be a part of it? Yeah. I said, yes, absolutely yes. Yeah. Because at that point I had for 18 years thought that's what I'm going to do. It was a quick yes. And maybe I answered too quickly, but it was a quick gut yes, because I'd always just assumed that ownership was the next level. Mm-hmm. And it was also really exciting and validating that these people who were so successful,
they believed in you.
thought I could do it too. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
And then something in your heart or gut told you,
Yeah. What made you rethink it?
The excitement turned heavy. Like it was always of this is so exciting. Think of all the things I can do with this. I had really great ideas of where I would take it. And every now and then something just happened during my day to day. And it became more heavy and more of a realization of maybe that's not what's going to happen. I also started recognizing a lot more stress and anxiety in my life where it had never lived before. And that was a big indication for me. And so the question really, it changed from, can I really do this? And being really excited about it into more of a, should I really do this? And when
yeah,
I started talking to myself that way, I realized that
yeah.
there was something maybe to put more thought into. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this all weekend because I truly have been so excited to talk to you about this because, and Vonda knows this about me, I was not created to be a business owner. I am a worker. I love to work for a business all day long, every day. But if Vonda was to come to me and say, hey, I want to bequeath you Flower Click, I would say, no, thank you. I love you, but no, I don't want, I'm going to use your words, the heaviness
Mhm.
of owning a business. It's too much. I can't explain it.
No,
It's
you're the idea. You're the idea person, Lori, and you're
I
not the
don't
executor.
want
So
that responsibility. It's the your exact word is perfection, heaviness. I
Mhm.
can't handle that heaviness. And so I think podcast over. Literally, that's all you have to say. I get that so much. Just that it literally, when you were getting ready to sign on the dotted line, the universe revealed to you, oh my gosh, the heaviness of it all.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't like
Not a bad,
there were no like red flags that
no,
popped
no,
up.
no, no,
No,
no,
so my intuition isn't loud, it's not dramatic.
no,
It's just and nothing catastrophic happened.
no.
It was just more that I couldn't ignore something that felt so misaligned for me personally.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
mhm.
yeah.
And were there other things going on in your life too that were influencing this, or was it just basically the business heaviness?
It was the business heaviness, but my dad was also sick, and I think
Yeah.
that played into it a lot.
It makes you think differently when you have those type of influences, especially when you have a loved one who's not well. Then you're like, ooh, now if I own this business, what is that going to do to my time, my
Mhm.
efforts that
Yeah.
I can put towards something else? And so I think, although you're saying, yes, it was this heaviness, but I think everything was heavy
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah.
And it was more my dad's influence on making sure that I was always happy doing what I was doing
Yeah.
and thinking about the legacy of him instilling in me. Make sure you're living your life the way you want.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna make me cry. We
I
cried.
know
Sorry,
exactly.
I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have brought that up.
No, I think
Yesterday's
it is.
podcast, now you're gonna make me cry on this podcast.
And I think that's so important, though. I think sometimes we don't realize those little voices
Yeah,
from our
really,
parents or our past
right.
really do weigh
Is
and help us make those decisions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And perfect segue, Vonda, because I was getting ready to say, so this was not an easy decision for you because not only once you knew your mind was changed, you had to tell these people who had loved on you and cared about you and nurtured you and led you and modeled for you, built into you, that you had to change your heart.
Yes. And that conversation went pretty smoothly because they're smart business owners. They had contingency plans in place.
Okay.
When they asked me, are you interested in joining the conversation? I wasn't the only person in that conversation. So
Okay.
they were also looking at other
Okay.
options for themselves.
Good.
And so it was somewhat easy for me to go to them and say, I'm not interested in the ownership path.
Okay.
That's not for me.
Okay.
Knowing that they were still going to pursue this and this was still in their timeline, I was really looking forward to just committing. I want to remain the general manager. I want to see whatever ownership transition takes place. I want to see that through.
Right.
And who knows what's in the future with new ownership. But my intent was to continue to be a big part of the business.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So that went smoothly. And
That went smoothly. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Were you scared to have that conversation, or were you at peace?
Once I made the decision, I was at peace. I felt a lot lighter.
Okay.
It also changed the dynamic a little bit at the shop, obviously, because then I wasn't part of some really big conversations. And so that changed the dynamic a little bit. So I continued to work. It was probably about 18 months that I continued to work for the shop after making the decision of not pursuing ownership and then finally leaving.
Okay.
So when you decided to remain on as general manager, did you have in the back of your mind, I'm eventually probably going to need to find something else? Or did you think, no, I'm just going to stay here? What made you find something else? Or did something just pop up?
I think the decision not to pursue buying the shop was a catalyst. It really made me think. Once I had the burden off of me, it made me think of what else is out there. What have I not considered? And I'm even talking about outside the industry. I loved the bookkeeping and the financial and the accounting side of the florist. I almost went back to school for accounting. I could be an accountant right now. So
there are so many people in this industry that talk about being accountants. What is that?
It's the business. Accounting with florists is so nuanced and tricky, and I love that. So so I even took some courses at a local university, some accounting courses to see if anything was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a die-hard job search. It was just a casual, let's just hop on Indeed today and see what kinds of things are out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I had to, for the first time in my life, put a resume together because I had never done that before.
Yeah.
And so going through that whole process was very kind of healing, scary. But yeah, I spent a good 18 months really thinking of anything possible.
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult because how many years had you been working in the shop at that point? Like 20 years, 18, 20 years?
About 21 years, at that point. Yeah.
And then
it's all I knew. Yeah.
So how did you come upon Society of American Florists? Were you familiar with SAF?
Yeah, when I worked at the florist, we were members of SAF.
Okay.
I had attended conventions since 1999. So I was a regular attendee of conventions. I sat as a volunteer leader.
Yeah.
So I knew SAF, and it just happenstance, one of my casual Indeed evenings on the couch popped up a job opening. And the clarity at that point was so fast. It was, yes, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow.
This is what's always fascinating to me and why I think I just love hearing everybody's story, because looking at you now, hearing that when you look back, every single road you had to go on, like every single path, every single thing you had to go through to get on your couch, to see that on Indeed, to get where you are now. Every single thing you had to go through. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
That's a story for a whole other day, because there was a series of events that had occurred that landed me on that couch that I just find fascinating. So
well, and so I need to hear that. So we'll have to
I'll share that with you one day.
Yeah, like that was at convention. We'll have to sit across from each other with a cup of coffee, and you'll have to share that with me, and I'll be mic'd at that point.
Yeah.
Because you'll be ready this time.
I'll be ready. I'll secretly mic myself, because that is fascinating to me. Because to me, nothing just happens. That's how that just pops up. You were in the right moment.
Yeah. And the scary thing is, when you're somewhere for so long, it's very hard to wrap your head around doing something else. And at that point, my husband was also going through a career change, because he was in construction and he was injured and wasn't able to continue his job. He went back to school for nursing. And he is so happy with what he's doing. And it's such a change, right? Pick two opposite careers.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And so at the time that I was going through this, he was in school for nursing. And the thing that we kept telling each other and what we had to keep into perspective is that 20 years is only halfway through our working lives.
Yeah.
And we had more ahead of us than we had behind us.
Mm.
And so when you think of it that way, it wasn't so scary. It turned less into this has been my whole life into what's my next whole life almost
Right.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great perspective. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That's,
So that made it a little less scary.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you still had to have an exorbitant amount of courage to do it because change is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. But the fact that you and your husband were making changes together, I think
Mm-hmm.
is helpful. You had a little bit of a support system there. A lot of people out there are doing it all alone.
Yeah. I had a great support system in my family, my friends, my husband for sure. But I also had so many industry friends
Yeah.
who I really meeting them throughout the years through SAF and through other industry events. I couldn't tell them everything that was happening just for
Yeah.
certain reasons,
Yeah.
but we really shared a lot and leaned on them quite a bit.
In a podcast we dropped, it was all about community. And
Mhm.
we were talking about the importance of SAF or AIFD or all of our little pockets, our industry as a whole, but then these little pockets in our industry of, man, it's such a quirky industry. Yet it's strange because, yes, they're our peers, but some of these people are literally our best friends. It's
Mhm.
a connection, and they're not sitting next to me day to day, and they don't even live in the same state. But yet, when I see them, I hug and kiss them, and I'm with them for 48 hours nonstop, and then I don't see them again for 6 more months. But I can't wait, and it's the craziest thing.
Mhm.
And I just often wonder, is it like that in other industries? We don't know.
I don't think so. The one thing that I always hear, whether it's from speakers coming in and doing sessions that are not part of our industry or keynote speakers, or
Yeah.
they always comment on what a unique industry this is. They've
Yeah.
done the talks with other
Yeah.
groups.
Yeah.
They're always amazed at how friendly we are.
Yeah.
But we value that connection and communication with our community so much.
Yeah.
That's our lifeline.
So is. I tell people all the time, and we've talked about it on the podcast, walking in to the Next Gen Hotel or the Convention Hotel,
Mhm.
there's no way you are ever just going straight up into your room, because whoever's in the lobby, at least when I'm walking in, at least I'm there 30 minutes before I ever can get to, because I'm hugging and talking and kissing, and then somebody else coming up, and then someone else is, you're not just checking in and going up, because there's a welcoming committee there that isn't really a welcoming committee. They're just all standing there. And I've shared this with my husband, who is an engineer and works in the oil, and he's no, that we don't have that. And we don't have that. And I'm like, doesn't your lobby smell like flowers? No, it smells like oil. Like, that sounds awful. Anyway, but it was like, it's just, I don't know. Our community is just different.
Special.
It is
Yeah.
special. It is
Yeah.
special. I was reading an article preparing for our thing, and it was about like this silent nudging, quiet quitting, the whole, how do you know if you should quit or move on? And I thought it was interesting. And one thing he says, here's a rule I use both in my own work and when I'm advising others. The real challenge is knowing when persistence is buying you something. If I keep persisting in my job, does it get better or worse? So here's a rule I use in my own work when advising others: default to persistence, but quit when persistence is no longer buying you progress. It made sense to me because I even have times in my own, depending on the week, is if I'm frustrated and I have a moment of, should I retire? Whatever. Am I frustrated because I'm doing something that maybe is difficult, like bonds make me work on a spreadsheet that I don't want to do.
Never.
Never. If I'm working on something like that. So if I persist, I can get through it, right? And it is complete. Or am I doing something in my job that no matter how much I persist, it's just not going to get better? Prior to this is a big, long, elaborate story about mice and a test and stuff I'm not going to get into, but I'm like, that's really a good measurement. If I just work a little harder on this, I will get through it. And then I'll be happy again. I'm just going to be pouty right now because my boss told me to do something I don't really want to do it. So my tendency is to run away. And so I think for our listeners out there that maybe don't know how to feel, oh, should I quit my job and get on Indeed? Not necessarily. Because sometimes we feel, do we trust that nudge? Like, I'm sure the first time you had it, you're like, do I trust this? Or
I thought I was scared. When I first started questioning it, I thought, you're just scared. Owning a business is hard. It's supposed to be hard.
Yes.
There's supposed to be anxiety. There's supposed to be stress. This is not easy.
Exactly.
And we know how hard people in this industry work. And maybe I just don't want to put in the work. Maybe I'm scared of failing. And an exercise that really helps me with a lot of different things when I have to really sit back and think about things. It came from a gym that I was involved in at the time. And I don't know if he coined it or if he learned it from somewhere else, but he called it the 5-7-9. And you never truly understand the answer to a question until you're about 5 questions deep.
Yeah.
And if you ask, is this right for me? Or ask a question. And then when you answer that question, you follow up with the why. And he equated it to losing weight or getting in shape. Why do you want to get in shape? I want to get in shape so my clothes fit better. Why do you want your clothes to fit better? I want my clothes to fit better so I'm more comfortable when I'm walking up the mountain. Why do you want to be more comfortable when you're walking up the mountain? I want to be more comfortable because I want to really enjoy my time outside. And why is that important to you? And it goes on. And you don't really get to the true nature of your thoughts or your decisions until you're that 5 questions deep. So that's when I really had to sit back. I'm not scared. There was always that little bit of apprehension, but it was more about not being aligned with this anymore.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. That is good.
Wow. That's some really good wisdom there. So this guy has 3 steps to know if you should suck it up and keep going or quit your job. Number 1 is set a checkpoint before you start. Because he says here, based on what you say, here's the problem with relying on your judgment in the moment. You can't trust it, right? But again, something gets hard, we want to run, or at least I do. When things get hard, your brain generates 1,000 reasons to quit. It tells you the strategy is broken, that you're wasting time, that smarter people would have pivoted by now. The voice isn't wisdom. It is discomfort, just looking for a way to exit the building, right? Let's just go. I want to pretend it's not, just to avoid. So the solution is to make the decision to quit when you're in a peaceful situation, not when you're at, because you hear that people get mad, freak out, and quit in those moments. That's the worst time to quit. Like you're saying, do the 5 questions. So the second one is, are you still learning in your job? I take that one very serious. As long as I'm still learning, as long as I'm still doing it or educating or teaching or providing things, I'm happy. The minute all that stops, I would be miserable. So third, this goes back to the first thing that I talked about. Would persistence make a difference? Some plateaus are part of the process and others are permanent. When you're exercising and progress stalls, that's usually a signal to keep going. Fitness plateaus are normal, but your body adapts, results slow down, and then if you sustain the efforts, you break through to a new level. The plateau isn't evidence that the strategy failed. It's evidence that you're in the middle. But some situations won't change, no matter how long you persist. If you're grinding away in a workplace surrounded by people who make you miserable, more persistence is not going to fix that. So anyway,
I like that.
I thought those were 3 really good. That and your 5 questions,
Mm-hmm.
I think, are all the results.
So that kind of answers the question you had, Lori, that says for florists who think ownership is the only path, what would you want them to do? And no. And I think what you're saying, Kate, too, is keep asking those questions. And Lori, too, is persistence. Or do you have other advice on that?
Yeah. A big part of what I was going through was I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I think that it's very important to think about the other things that will fulfill you. One thing I loved about working at the shop and then being involved with SAF at the time through the events that I attended and the leadership is that we were talking about connection and community. I felt like I shined there. And I felt like I was very energized there. And even when you come back from convention, you have this feeling of, I'm going to take on the world today.
Yes,
I just got back from this and I'm going to do this. And I found a way to make that my job.
Yeah.
And making that decision, ownership wasn't going to give me that in the way that I craved it.
Yeah.
And it was only by stepping away that I even entertained the possibility of finding a different way to have that feeling.
I love that.
It's there's so much to learn in the industry and there's so many different things that you can do. Also, if I can make a quick plug for Seed Your Future, it's one of the reasons why I really love being involved with Seed Your Future, because we're trying to show the younger generation that there are so many possibilities in this industry. It's not about owning a flower shop. It's about all of these other things involved in supporting that flower shop, supporting the farm, supporting the wholesalers. So that's work I get really excited about also.
Yeah.
Same. We love that. We love Seed Your Future.
So tell us in just 2 seconds or less, not really 2 seconds, about convention real quick. So you're the director of education. What exactly does that mean first? What do you do?
So my main focus is our Floral Education Hub. It's our online learning management system. It's where we have our virtual events, our courses, resource packages. But then throughout the year, when these events are occurring, we have convention, we have Next Gen. I work with Laura Weaver-Kern, who's our director of conventions and events, and Amanda Dedlinski, who's in content, to help develop the sessions. And that's so eye-opening because I get to think about what I would have liked to learn. We say, okay, we know that we need to do a session on succession planning. And I get to think about, okay, what would I want to know? Through conversations that I've had with florists over the course of 20 years, 25 years, what would they want to know? And it's very rewarding to take what I've learned in the industry and put it to work. And questions always arise because we're a really great team in that aspect that we challenge each other and we say, that might not be the right thing.
Yeah.
What if we take this angle? And is that going to reach enough florists? Will enough people resonate with that topic? Maybe we should change course a little bit. So it's always my favorite part is convention planning with the sessions and Next Gen planning, because we really get to dive deep into what do we want people to learn today.
Yeah. No, and I'm on the task force for the convention planning, and I really enjoy being a part of that. And I think that Laura does a great job bringing us all in and asking everyone's advice. That's hard though, because there's a lot of ideas, and then you guys have to take everybody's ideas and try to make everybody happy. You're not going to make everybody happy.
We know that.
And sometimes we have really great ideas, but then we have to find the right speaker for that. Or sometimes we have a great speaker, but we just need to find what we want them to talk about.
Yeah, that's the hard part, putting those puzzle pieces together. But you always do, and it always works out. When is convention? Remind me. It's in August. We just were getting plane tickets.
August 18th to the 20th.
18th through the 20th.
Yep, in Amelia Island, Florida. It's at the Ritz-Carlton. It's a beautiful property.
It is a beautiful property.
It was there last time in 2019, I do believe, because we were just talking about when we were there last time and who was driving, who was flying. We were figuring all that out with our team.
It was great. We appreciate you so much coming on here and telling us your story, and we know it's going to encourage many people. And next time I see you, I will be mic'd up because I do need to hear your couch story. And that can be like a little mini
Little insert there. Yes, there we go.
We'll see you soon. We'll be seeing you soon.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Take care.